How y'all are? Welcome to the Moon Griffon Show. We've changed into an eating show. Let me wipe my mouth, Brandon Como. We got, I don't want to wipe my mouth. I don't mind it dripping down. But we got Chef Jude in, Tony Chachere's, our good friends at Tony Chachere's. And even though I hear a lot of people not watching the Super Bowl, they're going to party. They're going to have a good time. I heard people that are watching the Saints Super Bowl when they beat the Colts. There's going to be some happening going on Sunday. But anyway, Chef, you got his mic on, Brand? Make sure. Okay. Anyway, Chef Jude, good to see you, bud.
Good to see you guys, too.
Well, first of all, I think if we had this on Super Bowl Sunday, nobody would care about the game.
Yeah, that's right.
What is this? This is unbelievable.
So this is it's shrimp and smoked sausage pasta. That's some of our Tony Chachere's smoked sausage, which you can find. Which you can find that here locally. It's fairly new out in the market. You can find it in any like the Associated Grocers stores right now, and we're pushing really hard to get it into some of the other grocery stores. So Piggly Wiggly's, things like that. You'll be able to find the sausage.
Now, the shrimp, you just can't beat Louisiana shrimp, but the sausage is really good. And cooked in this sauce, I mean, it really brings out, and Brandon will tell you the same thing, the flavor is phenomenal.
That's easy penne pasta. It's cream-based sauce. Thickened it with our white gravy, which people don't necessarily think about. They think of white gravy, just for white gravy, but I use white gravy to thicken it.
In other words, once you got it and you had all the juices, you just sprinkled some of that and it stirred it up good, almost like a roux.
Correct.
Kind of a roux base, but it was made with what now?
It's our white gravy, and it's basically like that. It's just
I got some, and I was thinking about wanting to make something, but I like how you mix this in with something else.
And you just use it as a thickener. Correct.
I could drink this sauce. It's so good.
And the seasoning is
Brandon, you didn't see you brought some straws in here?
Yeah. The seasoning that I use is a spice and herb seasoning. It goes really well with seafood. It's kind of like our blackening seasoning. So a few of our products in there, the sausage, the seasoning. And
I tell you, this is so good. Brandon's talking about the sauce. Brandon, what we need to do is let's hide this. Let's don't share this. Get home tonight, we'll split it. When we get home tonight, I'm going to tell you what to do. The chef is not going to argue with me. Go home, go to the store, get your big old piece of French bread.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Put a little butter, put that sucker in and brawl it. Put that out and pour this over the top of it. I'll tell you what you do. If you got any friends or family members there, they may never leave. That's how good that is. No, I'm serious. Yeah. And I know, I asked him laughing, you're a chef. I said, what, it took you 30 minutes to whip it up? He said, yeah. I looked like somebody cooked for 3 hours.
Yeah. It took longer to cook the pasta than it did to put it.
Last night I made, we know the cold weather's coming tonight and tomorrow. So my wife goes, let's make gumbo. So I made a seafood gumbo. And what we did, we made it last night to cook it today. And so I made all the roux and I did all that stuff to it, and it turned out really, really well. And you can't hardly beat that. But I cooked that 2 hours, at least 2 hours. I think a little more before I put the seafood in. You know, people that don't know how to cook it, they don't know you put the seafood in. I know people throw all the seafood in and they cook it to pieces.
Yeah.
That is not what you do. But anyway, I cooked that gravy slow. I had it in a black cast iron, a pot. I slow cooked that puppy. I'm telling you, about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Some people probably cooking longer than that. I just don't need to cook it any longer. And I had sauteed so many onions and vegetables together, and I cooked that stuff down, and then I added that seafood. So last night, we nibbled. I had a little coffee cup, and I made a little rice, and we nibbled because, you know good and well, leaving this in the refrigerator, it's going to make it when it's really
absolutely
good.
Brandon, you don't have too much to say on that, man.
I'm going to let y'all do all the talking.
Well, I mean, that's pretty good. We've been on the air for about 5 minutes. He's had 3 bowls. I don't know how the guys, Brandon, don't eat out the pan. That's why you got a bowl. But anyway, Chef, tell us what else is going on. I mean, with Super Bowl coming up, people are going to, whether they watch it or not, they're going to do something. They want to celebrate and things of that nature. So there's all kind of great ideas. You hear people barbecuing and all that stuff. But y'all got stuff to help them if they want to barbecue or they want to make dishes like this.
Absolutely. If you feel like doing something that's going to eat up a lot of your time during the day because you're wanting to stay away from the TV, you want to maybe smoke a brisket or something like that, you use our injectable marinades, a little bit of our more spice or the bold seasoning on that to kind of kick it up a little bit. Or if you want to do something quick.
I'm going to talk with a mouthful.
Go ahead.
Or my wife ain't listening. You have the wild game marinade.
Correct.
And I want people to know that because this time of year, there's a lot of deer, there's a lot of wild game out there. I'm telling you, I tried that. That stuff is delicious. If they hadn't tried the wild game marinade, they really need to try that. Y'all made that specifically for the hunters in mind.
Correct. I did. I cooked some ducks last week, I think Wednesday, and let them marinate overnight. It's a 20-minute marinade.
You grilled them?
No, I made like in a gravy. So I browned them and onions and peppers and garlic.
Well,
and they it's awesome. It's a great marinade.
Let's talk about this. I don't like I know some people marinate steaks overnight. No, I don't like all that. I really don't. I like the fresh meat. But if you take something like you do in 20-minute marinade, it's going to probably put just enough marinade in there to have taste, but still taste the beef or the wild game.
Correct.
And that's what I like about your marinade. And by the way, you don't have it just for wild game. You got it for pork, chicken, beef, chicken, turkey,
pork.
Whatever.
Yeah, beef, chicken, pork, even seafood. Which seafood, it works really well on shrimp, and like you said, within 20 minutes, and you kind of pull the shrimp out of the marinade and do a quick saute on it, and it's awesome. When you think of seafood, you don't think, well, I need to marinate this. It's basically to inject a little bit of flavor into it, and not to tenderize it.
No, but the marinade you have is just not a marinade that some people think of. Like when I eat fried chicken, you can marinate that all night because they're going to put a crust and everything on it and get into the chicken. And you love a piece of chicken that's got good seasoning like that. Sure. But what you're talking about is quick. You can do it while your fire's on the pit or whenever something's cooking. Right. You can pop it on there and stick in a deal. The marinade's really good. The wild game, reason I brought it up is you got a lot of venison getting ready to be cooked on Super Bowl or Sunday in the weekend.
That's right, yeah.
And they ought to try this because I think that if they'll go pick it up at the stores, they're going to really enjoy that.
Yeah, the wild game and all of those marinades, the pourable marinades, like as you said earlier, the chicken, the pork, the beef, the wild game, those are all available at any of your local grocery stores.
All right, Brandon, go ahead and ask a question. Now I'm eating.
Well, you asked them all the good stuff, but
no,
I'm serious. That I actually did out of the bowl drink that sauce. It's so good, man. I mean, I love the when you mentioned the white gravy in it. I could taste it. It was delicious.
Oh, good. Yeah, and
I didn't think about using that as a thickening deal. That's what I thought, because a lot of times you cooking other things and ain't got to be this. You could really thicken something. You know, I usually use cream of mushroom soup. I bet you I got 10 cans always at the house. If I make a beef stew and I want to thicken it, that's what I put in it.
Sure.
So what you're talking about is something a little bit of different twist, and you got some other things you probably can. Dry. You have a marinade, dry marinade too, don't you?
Dry. We have dry, the white gravy. We have brown gravy, and we have a dry roux.
That's it. I got the roux and I got the brown gravy.
And so you can use those, the roux or the brown gravy.
Okay, but I want to ask you.
I'm glad you told me that about thickening it, because once again, you're not thinking out the box. You're thinking this is the way I always did it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to do it.
What would you say is like the biggest reason why you would use a white gravy over the cream of mushroom?
So the cream of mushroom, we actually have, and you don't see it very often. I think right now, really the only place you can get it from is our website. We have a cream of mushroom that's a dry.
Okay, yeah.
That's right, but I was getting ready to tell you the reason why he doesn't use the cream of mushroom is because they don't make it.
That's right. We have it, but it was just not out in.
But you do make it when it's a dry mix.
Correct. It's dry, and the reason why I would use the white gravy before the cream of mushroom is because we make the Tony Chachere's white gravy.
That's what I was saying. You don't make.
But I found it's a little bit more flavorful though. I like it.
Yeah, it's. I know that there's a lot of Cajuns around here that use the cream of mushroom.
It's just something. Let me tell you something. I don't just eat it out the can, and it's more of it's a condensed deal anyway, and it blends in with anything. It doesn't. It's something that doesn't over flavor anything. I use it more so to thicken my gravy than anything else. I could use what you're talking about, too, because I happen to have a deal on that. And I didn't realize that. But like I said, I'm not thinking out the box. You could put that in there to thicken it. You don't have to put all that. And I bet you it's not as fattening as putting a can of condensed milk. I mean, a can of cream of mushroom. I bet it's not even close.
Dry, and what the directions ask you to do is make a slurry. So you add a little bit of water to it. And
so you make it on the side, pour it in.
And then pour it in.
Yeah.
And what happens if you have a hot liquid in the pot, whether it's like a cream sauce like this, or if it's like a gravy you're cooking a roast or something like that, if you pour just the dry straight in there, it's going to clump up and you're going to have like balls of.
You got to be careful if you were doing that with flour. You got to be careful. I always
same.
If I didn't have anything to put in there, I wanted to thicken the gravy, I would always grab flour and water and a whisk, and I would take it and I whisk that sucker where it was thick, and then I poured it in. If you try to go straight flour, I'm not saying people can't do it better than me. It was hard for me to do it.
Sure.
Do it. What about people that's going to barbecue? Let's talk about how we can help them out, because, I mean, you're going to have people grilling ribs, chicken wings, everything on the man.
Again, the injectable marinades, you mentioned rib, or the pourable marinades, the pork is awesome on ribs.
Very good.
On the injectable side, we have a honey bacon barbecue injectable, and you may not think about taking the time to do that, but it makes a huge difference. You take a little bit of that injectable marinade and you inject it in between all those rib bones.
Oh, yeah.
Or a pork roast.
I'll tell you what you're going to do. What I noticed about y'all marinate when you inject, what it does, not only gives it a little bit different flavor, but what it does is it keeps them moist.
Sure.
Somebody cooking ribs and go, man, I can't cook ribs good. Well, this is a way to keep things moist. Anything you're doing, from the turkey or chicken to pork or venison, whatever, it is going to help moisten them up, because it's going to keep that juice inside.
That's right.
It doesn't come running out.
That's right. And if you're doing some beef ribs, we have a ton of different injectable marinades, whether it's the jalapeno butter or the Creole butter, roasted garlic, jalapeno. It's
okay.
We got something for everybody.
I ask this question every time, because y'all always working on anything new, anything to mention right now. Not a whole lot.
We have a few things.
Some things coming up soon.
We have a few things coming up soon,
okay.
and I don't want to start too much buzz about it yet, because it'll be a couple months down the road before there.
Yeah, but that'll be here before you know it. That'll be here before you know it.
Yeah. And I'll be here within probably the next month or so. Again, before Mardi Gras, maybe we'll do a little something.
Oh, yeah.
You are always welcome in his studio.
So in other words, he's gonna make a king cake next.
I heard you talking about Bananas Foster.
Yeah.
On the way over
man.
here. We need a little Bananas Foster.
There's still people to talk about when he got beat.
Oh yeah.
And you came in there the next day and did the Bananas Foster. I still have people think that was the funniest thing, because we never got into politics. We thought about just cooking a little Bananas Foster, and it was a lot of fun. I thought we had a blast doing that. So, but I think we'll be known as the Banana Foster radio program. Chef, give us a website where people can go to find out all the great products and can ask for them in the name of the store.
www.tonychachere.com. You can follow us on Facebook. We're constantly putting things out there. Recipes and other events that we're involved with.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. You're always available. You don't have to bring food. Last time he didn't bring any. Brandon got upset, so he gave him some Tic Tacs. By the way, Brandon enjoyed the Tic Tacs.
Hey, they have delicious flavors.
So anyway, you're welcome back anytime. Come back. And Brandon, let's get this cut for him, and we'll send this.
Absolutely.
We'll send this to Boss Lady.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to what we're doing, so it'll be a lot of fun. All right, we'll take a break. More to go. Chef Jude, God bless. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. Now, let's jump gears from stuff in our face. Buddy, you notice how people just came running here to see how they come say hi to us today, but on normal days they don't come by. They don't even come by the window.
I don't blame them. I do the same thing.
Anyway, we appreciate Tony Chachere. All right, let's jump gears. Daniel Erspamer joins us. He is the president and CEO of the Pelican Institute for Public Policy. Daniel, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I am doing superb. Your last article caught my attention. I will keep going with this because I believe that the key to the state of Louisiana is our business climate, making it better. We've talked about this before, but you just had a recent article on the 26th that I saw published, at least in the Gannett papers, Louisiana business climate worsening. And I thought, we need to talk about this. As I read the Advocate and the governor's comments, actually going around bragging, taking credit for a, quote, improving economy. And I just kind of laughed at it. But anyway, you made a lot of points in here. Talk a little bit about your article. While Louisiana's business and legal climates are already ranked among the worst nations as job opportunities continue to flee. Talk about your article and what was the gist of the article.
Yeah, look, Moon, if, as you and your listeners know, if more abuse of the trial system and more lawsuits were a pathway to quality jobs and economic growth, Louisiana would be the best in the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Driving from where I live in New Orleans to your studio in Lafayette, we, just innumerable, whether it's you sort of alternate between boudin signs and trial attorneys. And I like the boudin a lot better, that's for sure.
And it tastes better, I know that. And it's not as expensive.
That's right.
But go ahead. I mean, you're right. I mean, we go down, what was it, Highway 90? You go down Highway 90 years ago when
they're extending into I-49.
Well, I know, but when we used to go down I-49, I mean, 90, Brandon, I'd come in, would go up and down. It was all companies, and they said hiring, great starting pay, 401k, health insurance, hiring. Everybody was built up. Now it's not hiring unless you want to hire a lawyer.
That's right. And,
it's still hiring, but it's hiring a lawyer. They were hiring people to go to work. Now we're hiring people to sue people that go to work.
Right. And a lot of fishermen and fishing fanatics out there on your listeners, I know, and we saw the Bass Anglers tournament take their tournament out of Louisiana because of these lawsuit abuse.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I was a big bass fisherman. I buy Bassmasters magazine. I can't fish a lick, but I try hard. I didn't say I was a good fisherman. I said I'm a big fisherman. In other words, I like to go. But the point being is, Bassmaster has pulled out and said, if y'all going to do that kind of stuff, we're not coming back. But that doesn't get big play. And it really should, because they're not coming for a reason.
Well, that's right. And add to that the numerous companies who said publicly and privately, we won't expand here until this gets fixed. We're not adding one new job. You can throw all the tax incentives you want. We're not coming here until you fix the legal environment, because it's just too unpredictable. You never know when you're going to have to spend money to fight a frivolous lawsuit, and it's got to change.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Daniel Erspamer, my special guest, Pelican Institute. Well, you talk about this. I talk about it. The problem is nobody's doing anything about it. Do you think it has to come does it have to just come from the governor? Because even some of our best and brightest representatives and senators, I don't see them jumping on this in a full-time basis, when really this is the key to Louisiana. Not another government job, not Medicaid expansion. None of that's the key to the state. The key is for us to have great jobs.
It is. We absolutely have to do everything we can do to bring quality jobs and opportunity back. This is going to take change at the highest levels. There's no question about it. And look, I want to be clear. I'm not casting aspersions on all attorneys or even all trial attorneys. I happen to be married to an attorney, and she's a lovely person.
Yeah, you better be careful more than me. Hey, it's like I tell people, when you need an attorney, just get you a good one.
Exactly right. Everybody hates them until you need one.
Oh no, I know that.
So it's not to suggest that all attorneys are bad, or that all lawsuits are bad. It's the abuse of the lawsuit system and abuse of our court system, and there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. But what we know is the men and women in the trial attorney field who are the worst abusers are also the biggest political contributors. And so we really have to keep an eye on who is pulling the levers of power here, who is responsive to those trial bar special interests, and who's responsive to taxpayers and job creators. And that's a political problem, and there's policy solutions to it, but it requires an increased awareness from voters and citizens who are paying attention to what's going on in the Capitol.
Yeah, it's just frustrating to me, because you just jump gears in another state, and they're not perfect either. They got problems. I know they do. But when it comes to business climate, if one state is booming and you're doing the opposite, don't you ought to peek over there and see what the heck they're doing? If your people are out migrating at 28,000 last year and they're leaving for jobs, everybody knows nobody's leaving to go get a better Medicaid benefit. Nobody's leaving to go get more welfare. They're leaving for jobs. You see older people leave. Well, they retired in Texas. Well, they retired in Texas because the grandkids over there and the kids over there.
That's exactly right. People follow the jobs, and all of your listeners either whether it's their kids or grandkids or their neighbors' kids and grandkids. Everybody has a story of going to Texas or Tennessee or Florida or other states who are doing this a lot better. And the evidence is clear about why, and it's going to take, whether it's legal climate or taxes or spending or you name it. We've talked about them all, Moon. Big change has to be in the offing for us to turn this around.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was just talking about how they try to tie sports betting or lottery to education, and for multiple reasons. But the main one is that's how you get it passed. And the comments they always make, well, in other states they do this, in other states they do. That's fine. We want to tie all the things that other states do. Why don't we tie into what the business climate's doing in these states? Why does it always have to be gambling or another form of government or how they do roads? How about how the business climate works in these other people? We never talk about, they're doing this. Why don't we do this? But if it comes to expanding gambling or expanding anything like that, well, let's tie it to childhood education. And, me and you talked about the Constitutional Convention, and they talked about how we need to get rid of dedicated funds. They're going to dedicate some more money. So, see, it never moves forward. We just keep doing what we normally do.
Yeah, anytime a politician comes to you trying to raise taxes or raise spending, and it's tied to something, that should be our first clue that they don't think it's going to pass otherwise, so they have to make it sound really good. And look, we've got to make sure that all of our policies, again, whether it's tax or legal or anything else, are policies that remove barriers to good quality jobs and opportunities for folks to pursue their dreams. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's absolutely true. This is a country built on opportunity and pursuing the American dream. And all of these policies, over abuse of the tax system, the legal system, increased taxes, are simply barriers to quality jobs and pursuit of opportunity. And that's not happening right now.
I know you are too, but I've drilled this for so many years. I'm sure I probably lost listeners that I don't want to talk about it anymore. We're never going to change it. But we're never going to change it because we don't talk about it. We're never going to change it because the people don't understand. I'm raising my hand on that one too. We didn't understand how we got here. We got here by doing what we've done the last 3 years, but really we've got here doing what we've done the last 50 years. I don't care if it's Jindal spending every penny he's got in these funds that we had, or it's Bell Edwards raising $7 billion in taxes and then taking that money and putting it into things that are going wrong anyway. You're not changing the way we do business here. I don't care what side you want. It's the same disaster.
That's right. Our opposition is the entrenched status quo that has existed from the Huey Long populist era, the beginning of that era in Louisiana in which we find ourselves. And so it takes your listeners and their friends and neighbors standing up every day and saying, we must have change. And
I got an idea for a business deal that can create tax dollars for the state. When we get back, I'm going to throw it at you and let you see what you think of it. I think you're going to enjoy this. It has to do with gambling, and it has to do with money for the children, and it has a way to make more bettors grow up so they can make more money for the state. I'll get to it, Daniel. I'll let you. You're laughing already. But I ain't told it to you yet, but wait when we get back. All right, Daniel Erspamer, Pelican Institute, business climate worsening. And you tell the governor and the advocate, and they'll tell you how great it is. We'll be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Last segment of the day. We want to appreciate Daniel Erspamer, Pelican Institute, who's joined us. Hey, Daniel, I got a business idea that will raise taxes for the state. Moon Griffon trying to raise taxes for the state. See if you can follow me on this. Since we've got as many forms of gambling, and when sports betting come, we're going to have that too. And like I said, people want to gamble. That's their business. And I thought, they want to give it to child education. They want to give it to education. Why don't we start teaching kids at about 15 or 16 how to gamble and let them take gambling classes and then let them do gambling competition all over the state. And then we take the best gamblers, just like we sent them down to the Dome to play football, we sent them down to Harris to gamble and do a gambling championship. And you can do it different levels at different schools.
Depending on what schools you go to, Moon, you have some 5-year-olds hustling you out of hundreds of dollars.
I agree with that. Well, you can start early. And my point being is we need future gamblers. And when they gamble, they can go, hey, the only reason I gamble is to support my school and to support early childhood education. And I think that we dedicate all the money back to education And is that economic development, Daniel?
You believe the children are your future.
Yeah,
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
See, Daniel, this guy right here, Ian, just stepped in and said, hey, if this is our future, why not get them started early? And then we can. And look, you can do the same thing as we do in high school football. You can't get paid. It's not a scholarship. You can't recruit. Set up the same rules. And instead of going to the Dome, we go to the Harris Casino. What you think?
Well, if spending more gambling money to get better education results is the answer, then I think you've solved it.
But it ain't.
The problem, of course, is we can spend all the money we want unless we fix a system that just means it's a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. We're still going to have the same problems. But I love your Jonathan Swift logic here. We'll just take it to its natural end, and we're going to have what happens here stays here. Will really start to take hold.
Well, I'm as ridiculous as they are. I'm being as ridiculous as they are. If they really think raising taxes on the back of the people and on businesses is some kind of way going to produce prosperity here, when we've got all these years of people leaving because of jobs, then and what Bill Edwards has done and what the governor's done and with the help of some of the legislature is done is going to make the state better because we balanced the budget. They're fooling themselves to no end. But worst of all, they're trying to fool real people.
That's right. And people are listening because they don't, other than you and me and a handful of others, are not hearing the other side of the story. We have to tell it better.
No, well, you got people in the media like the Advocate, and those guys continue to push the narrative of how great this is. And I know what you're trying to do. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. You've also gave some solutions. You've been going around, give out your website. Let's talk a little bit about some of the solutions y'all hope for. Whether we agree or disagree on every one of them, I want you to talk about some of the things we can do to make it better.
Thanks, Moon. Absolutely. If you can go to pelicaninstitute.org and read through our jobs and opportunity agenda for Louisiana. So we've covered everything from making sure we can streamline and bring more transparency to the budget process, how our state spends our tax dollars. So I just left a meeting to get on the air with you about how do we streamline that tax system and make it flat, fair, and predictable for everyone rather than the Byzantine, complicated, antiquated mess that makes up our tax system now that is absolutely punishing to bringing jobs and opportunity back here to the state. We've also talked about how do we make an education system that's not just one size fits all for everyone. In fact, we just rolled this out last week. Your listeners can go to pelicaninstitute.org/a-school-that-fits to learn all about our plan on how to reform in a lasting way the education system for kids here in the state. All of these come together to make sure we have a quality workforce that goes to jobs in companies that have predictable business environment and make it a better way to live and raise a family and earn a living.
Yeah, the governor they always do that on my program. Bagwell Energy Services announces 150 job expansion in Iberia Parish. It's over 5 years, though.
Yeah.
That's 30 jobs a year for 5 years. And this is, look, then they talk about direct, indirect, new jobs, all that stuff surrounding it. This is like reading a Bobby Jindal deal. It's really, and then we don't know if these jobs are going to be here or not. I kind of get a kick out of every time we do a program, they punch a little bit, but he never punched out anything about the jobs we lost that we may lose at Exxon and the ones we lost at the paper mill in Port Hudson, Georgia Pacific. So we don't hear about that at all.
That's right. Jobs and people are leaving the state in droves, and it's terrible. You and I know how great a state this is. It's a great place to raise a family.
We ought to be we ought to be booming with the stuff we got here. We ought to be booming.
There's no question about it, which just means it's time. It is absolutely time to say enough. Enough of the special interests, enough of the status quo, enough of the policies, as you said, that we've been doing for 50-plus years that have gotten us in the mess we're in, and it's time to turn things around, and not in a small way. It's time to turn things around in a big way. So I hope you all will join the conversation with us, engage on our Facebook and Twitter, and really this is going to take everybody coming together to do big things for our state. No one can sit on the sidelines. We have to engage.
But the thing about it, though, Daniel, is that what we're talking about ought to be the norm. It's going to sound radical to some people, what we're talking about, and it's not even close to radical. It's what we need to do. I got a friend, I got him, thank God, and he always said that. He said, you almost got to do something radical. He said, what's sad is radical used to be normal. Make it a good business climate where people can come and they can make a living, they can live and they can grow. You got the entrepreneurship just creeping, just all over the place. People are popping up with jobs. They make it. Businesses want to come to your area. They want to come to your state. They understand the culture and the business climate. That's who we ought to be. And if we do all that, you know as well as I do that you have plenty of tax dollars. You have all the tax dollars you want.
That's right. That's right. We've got to grow the economy. The conversation has to shift from fiscal cliffs and budget crises to the jobs crisis that we face today. We have to change that conversation.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It becomes a crisis. Everything's a crisis. When we were doing budgets, we had a healthcare crisis. We were closing hospitals. David Gallagher called yet? Okay. We're closing hospitals. We're closing universities. We're closing this crisis. We got a job crisis. And nobody's talking about it besides you and me and maybe a few people. Nobody's talking about the job crisis. We have a job and business crisis here, and nobody makes that a big deal. But, boy, you start talking about, we're closing hospitals. We're not even going to have LSU football, according to Bill Edwards. Think about what I'm just telling you. But we got a job crisis and an out-migration crisis, and the way you fix both is to fix it with the jobs and out-migration stops. And you have plenty of money for government that you need, not what you want, and life would be better.
Preach it. That's exactly right.
I'm preaching it and teaching it. I just need some legislators to listen instead of doing it the way they do it and say, Daniel Erspamer and Griffon, what the hell are they talking about? Well, just keep doing what you've been doing and we're going to keep getting the same results. All right, give out your website where people can get in touch with you, Dan.
PelicanInstitute.org. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Pelican Institute. Come join the conversation.
Are you announcing your deal in Baton Rouge yet, or are you waiting on that?
Absolutely. Well, we'll give a preview to your listeners. On March 28th at the Hilton in Baton Rouge, we'll have our 2019 Solution Summit. So all of these things we're talking about, and Moon making that point that these are common sense ideas. We'll be bringing folks, legislators and leaders from other states who have done these very same reforms to talk about how they did it and how it's working. And we'll bring into that conversation legislators and leaders here in the state who can talk about how do we get this done. We've got to define the problem, put out the solution, and figure out how to get it done. By the way,
we'll be there during the whole 2-hour program, too, so it'll be good for everybody.
That's right. We'll have a great time doing it.
All right. Daniel Erspamer, thank you, sir. We'll do it again.
Thanks, Moon. Have a good one.
All right. All right, folks, God bless. Have an awesome day. Terrific Tuesday, 22 hours away. God bless. We'll see you then.